Cancers are known for being nurturers and mothers and warm and fuzzy and nostalgic. Well, they also are meant to be known for having and holding so much nurturance that one can actually grow and move through two polarizing experiences. It is literally the place where life grows. Stay tuned because you're about to get to know a Cancer that has a very creative heart that is all about nurturing into growth. Hello, welcome back to Sacred Rhythms. I am Naomi Faith, and today we have someone very near and dear to my heart. I'm so excited. Okay, this is Jen. This is my brother's significant other. And I am obsessed. I am so thankful for her in our family, and not just in our family, but in my brother's life. They are not only the cutest couple, but just the most creative couple. They are literally always creating stuff, and it's fucking awesome. I love it. It is so inspiring. Okay. Anyways, today we're going to be doing Jen's chart. We're going to be blending her astrology chart in with the TCM organ chart, the 24-hour organ chart. And I know that you do know a little bit about both of them. Am I remembering that correctly? Like as far as your level of knowledge?
I feel like I have more knowledge about general astrology and interest in that kind of like stuff relating to spirituality and personal awareness, but Chinese medicine is really territory I'm not super aware of as much. So that was part of why I was interested in learning from you and just seeing how the two can connect.
Yay. Okay. Well, I am so excited to share with you about it. I will make sure, since you kind of already have a general knowledge of the astrology piece, I'll just intentionally make that a little bit shorter. And then we can focus in on the TCM stuff and answer any questions that come up. So before we dive in, I would love for you, Jen, to share a little bit about your background or anything that you want the people to know.
Sure. Yes. Hello, people. I'm Jen. I am from New Jersey, and I have always been a visual artist and a musician. And I love gaining insight on all things related to mindfulness and how it can help me grow and in the way I navigate relationships with others. I've always just been fascinated by that stuff. I love doing tarot card readings and like noticing the moon's phases and just taking moments to dive into spirituality through different cool things like that and how we're connected to nature because we all inevitably are, and it's really cool. And so, yeah, I'm just excited to be here, grateful to chat with Naomi, and yeah, it's exciting and cool.
Thank you for taking me up on this. It really does mean a whole heck of a lot. Okay, so let me share the astrology chart. So, Jen, this is your astrology chart. And this is where the planets were in the sky whenever you were born. And those icons are the planets themselves. And then we have the stars just outside of it. And then the lines in the middle are the aspects, meaning the geometric degrees that specific planets are having, relationships that they're having with each other. So you'll notice that the one that has the 5,
Capricorn. Oh, wait,
yes.
no, that one up there, Taurus.
Yes,
Aries.
sorry, you were seeing this. Yeah, thank you for saying that because I do want to get back to that too. This is a planet, and this is actually Saturn, which is connected to Capricorn. But all of these lines, so like this line that's going from here down here, this is Saturn into Neptune. And the geometry, the degrees between these two planets actually creates a dynamic, a relationship, a vibe between the two that you actually naturally embody. We won't be going into that because that's a little bit deeper, but I just wanted you and everyone else to know what that is. The other piece, like you so graciously helped us with, is that number 5. This is actually a core piece of how we connect TCM in with your astrology chart. We go through the houses. We're working with the houses. So that's the 5th house. And we have 12 houses here. But we'll get into more details about that later on. Just in your astrology chart alone, we're going to be looking at your sun, where it's located, and the vibes of your sun, as well as your rising sign and the ruler of your rising sign and where that's located. And then once we bring in the Chinese medicine stuff into it, then we're going to reintroduce those concepts through that lens of TCM. And then the last part will be just anything that intrinsically comes up, as well as things that I'm seeing are in the sky currently that will likely be affecting you as well. Okay. Any questions, any desires to add to that?
No, sounds good.
So, your sun is in Cancer. And Cancer
Cancer
is
season.
yes. Yes, it is. It is the beginning of summer, and it is also associated with the womb. It's also associated with the mother and, of course, the crab. I look at the crab and that energy, the womb, all of that combined together as being a very protective energy. It is the energy that holds all potentials, and it is the womb. So it is literally the very vibe that is needed, required in order for life to be created. And so, with that being said, though, there is this intrinsic um, importance, value of privacy, especially in whenever we're developing and creating something. And there is also this beautiful quality that I don't think gets really talked about, which I think that that's not okay. I think it should get talked about because there's so many stereotypes about the Cancer energy that it gets forgotten that the Cancer energy also fosters life. And so there is a quality of like girding your loins almost to grow, really be able to come into who you are here to be as an individual. There is a quality and an important piece that Cancer energy innately is able to do. I'm being reminded of how, like in tarot, the Chariot card is associated with Cancer. And this is the key piece that I think people forget about. But like the Chariot card is typically two different horses that are two different colors, and they represent, at least to me, and I think it's been interpreted this way too, like two opposing forces that are going in the same direction. So Cancer energy is not just about stagnation of water. It's about movement of water with a specific intention and being able to hold all potentials in that movement. But that's just me. Okay. And then there's a lot more to that. But
Can I say something that resonates already about what you just said is that like the protectiveness nature around when I'm creating that really resonates because it's like, well, especially as an artist, like you see nowadays, like the way to be an artist in the world is like you have to post everything you're doing and how you made it and blah, blah, blah. And like a lot of like bringing the outside world in to your
mhm,
kind of creative cocoon. And I don't always resonate with that. I've had a lot of push pull in my mind about it of like, but this is my sacred time to create. And like, does the world deserve to see everything I'm doing? Like, I kind of
yeah,
want to show more of a finished product instead of giving the sauce away to like, of
yeah,
how I did something. So
yes,
that resonates. And then also, like, when you say the idea of like growing is like a big theme for cancers, I really agree with that. I feel like I've always had this like huge desire and like kind of force within me that has pushed me to keep growing all the time in like every
mm,
way that I can. So
mhm.
that's cool. Because that, yeah, that relates to what you just said.
I love that. I love that it resonated. And please, if you know of any other cancers, let them know. Because I really do think that it's something that's not talked about. Like it
Mhm,
really, and it honestly, I didn't see it either until I brought in the Chinese medicine because the organ that's connected with cancer in like the traditional sense is the gallbladder. We're getting ahead of it, but the gallbladder is all about exactly that growth and coming into your sense of identity and becoming into it like it's the becoming of it
mhm,
but yeah, I just think it gets overlooked because we only think about cancers being nurturers and mothers and
mhm,
crabs, and like yes, those are all valid, but also like you have to mothers do also train you to be a human. Like whether you're a boy, whatever gender you are, they are the first ones that train you to figure out how to be a human, and that dads are absolutely a part of it too, but just in a different way. So, your sun is in Cancer and it's in the 11th house. The 11th house itself is actually associated Channy Nichols, the person that I really enjoy learning from, one of the peoples that I enjoy learning from, she talked about how the 11th house is associated with like social media. And so it's also connected to like the greater collective. So you have your friend group and then the 11th, which is a different house, and then the 11th house is like the larger community. It's also where
Mhm.
social justice sits. It's where the big picture of a community sits. Yeah, that's all I'll say for that for right now. And then your rising sign is in Leo, and it's actually at the very end of Leo. So that means that your first house, which is a part of that rising sign energy, has another sign in it. And that's Virgo. So that also is going to be playing a role in how you physically express yourself. So the first house itself is associated with your physical body. It's associated with what comes most natural and intrinsic to you, how you physically appear. So you have both Leo and Virgo there. So we are going to mainly talk about like the planet that rules your rising sign, which is the sun. Sun. But I do also want to touch in on that Virgo energy as well, mainly because there's a North Node sitting there, and because a lot of that first house is getting influenced by that Virgo energy. So, having a Leo rising, though, how yummy is that? So, typically, people with a Leo rising are going to feel comfortable with being seen, and people also naturally gravitate towards seeing them. They just have a natural light, they have a natural way of attracting attention. With it being ruled by the sun, that also tells me that there's like a double whammy of what you're here to be learning about, what you're here to be focusing on, which is that Cancer energy. And we are going to get into the organ part of that because I think that absolutely plays a role here. Let's see what else. Is there anything that's come up for you so far with all of the information that I've shared?
Yeah, didn't know that like Virgo was part of my rising sign. That's interesting.
Cool.
Mm.
Okay. Let's talk about that. Okay.
Well, and what I want to say is I wonder how it relates to like basically Noah and my previous long-term relationship. They're both Virgo people. So I'm like, that's interesting. Like I wonder if that like relates to, the people I've been drawn to so far in terms of my long-term partnerships. I also have noticed that like one of my best friends, the one who I'm gonna travel with this weekend, is a Leo rising as well, which is interesting. So yeah, I think I don't know, rising sign is intriguing to me.
It is a fascinating one, especially whenever I brought in the TCM element to it. I was like, "Holy fucking shit, this is crazy." Because there's actually research that backs up the connection between the two, which is blows my mind. But I do want to chat about so you have previous relationships, current relationships, being a Virgo. Hello, Noah. Love you, Virgo. Um, all the love to you. What I'm seeing that is absolutely significant that both of these partners were Virgos. It's almost okay. So, which way do we want to go here? Okay, so you and I have previously talked about how I believe we have. I feel like we have. How whenever someone is a Cancer, they're ruled by the moon.
Hmm.
And whenever I find that out, I always go towards what is their moon sign in?
Hmm.
And they actually might more so reflect that than they actually do the sun because of how, well, I mean, how the moon moves, right? Like it moves through its seasons, its cycles, and it's watery. And so that's kind of how my brain works, for better or worse. And so I bring that up because your moon is in Pisces. And this it's not only that, you also have your south node in Pisces. It's not seen here, but with every north node, which is that horseshoe shape on the left-hand side, you have at the exact opposite side your south node. Same
Um,
tree, just opposite sign. A south node is our past, is our the lessons that maybe we haven't been able to let go of, and also the gifts. What else? lessons, gifts. Typically, it does have karma in it as well. But what I'm wondering is if, like, because of all that, I love all the yummy Pisces stuff that you have, but with the South Node being there as well, I'm wondering if these partners that you have had and do have are actually helping you kind of come out of the past. Like they're kind of
Hmm.
back home to
Yeah.
like what is most intrinsic to you, what you're here to be growing into.
I think that really deeply resonates actually. Like the biggest takeaway I got from my previous long-term relationship, which was the longest one I've ever had, really the realest one I had too, was with my partner during college. Yeah, it lasted 5 years into after college. And being with them helped me see in myself and realize, oh, I've always wanted to make my own music.
Mm,
Um, and I had never like fully believed I could do it or like felt really shy. And just like through that relationship, I came into myself realizing, oh, wow, okay, like I'm writing songs. Like this is part of my identity, a huge part of who I am. At this point now, it's kind of like a guiding force for my life. I kind of like, I want to lean into it even more, even after that relationship. But that relationship really helped me see that. And like, that's one of the biggest takeaways I have from that, even though it ended, was like, I'm so grateful that happened for me. And then, yeah, with Noah, like a wonderful thing that I've learned through him and our connection is how like it's okay to feel all my emotions and learning how to feel safe being seen with like the difficult emotions, being witnessed when I'm crying and not feel like I need to like apologize for crying or like
yeah.
yeah, seeing that all parts of myself could be welcomed by a partner who has the capability to receive that. So,
Mm,
yeah, like from each of these relationships, I've seen like major breakthroughs in myself that then can shape my identity and strengthen my understanding of who I am. So,
oh,
very powerful.
so good.
So,
It is so good. And may I ask a follow-up question with that?
of course,
You
yes.
do not have to answer. But following along the thoughts of these men have shown you something that maybe you didn't see in yourself or you got to discover more about yourself through what they taught you. In that in doing that, in stepping into those identities, were you did you have to let go of things? Did you have to let go of
Mm,
identities or emotions or beliefs
wow.
or behaviors?
Yes. Ooh, that's a really good question. I love that. Yeah, like the biggest issue I had in relation to when I was in my last relationship and trying to navigate music stuff was like I just felt really uncomfortable
Mm,
letting myself be seen even though the music was something I really wanted. I don't think I was able to fully come into it until after the relationship ended just because like
mm,
there were just different emotional obstacles that came up in the relationship and in relation to how I was just navigating the world at that time. Like, I kind of was very much letting myself get pulled into emotional situations that were not healthy for me. I was too caught up in like negative experiences with people and just overall like identifying too much with like outside emotional landscapes rather than staying true to who I was and like and I just didn't really know yet how to like fully listen to myself.
mhm,
And I also did not feel very confident with like my ability to write songs. I compared myself a lot to other people in my life who were more experienced than me with music.
mhm, mhm,
Um, so it was like this weird push and pull of like, I want to go for this, but I'm really scared and I don't feel super ready. So that was it with that relationship. And then with my current one, I think, I mean, I did a lot of growing in between before being with Noah, just through stumbling and falling through other experiences. But I think being with someone now who can be like an emotional mirror to me
mhm,
has created a lot of safety for me to be like, oh, okay, like I can fully be who I am and dive into that more. And now I'm like working on my album of like 9 songs and it's like coming along. And there's a lot of just like, I think there's so much room to grow because I have this like safe emotional foundation through this relationship
mm,
that has pushed me to keep believing in myself. And I just feel very supported and like at ease. And
yeah,
I've always been someone who's like, my living environment has really impacted the way I feel and think and function. And so finally living with him has actually made me feel like for the first time ever in my life, I'm in like a fully emotionally safe living situation where I can release fear more easily. So that's really cool. Yeah.
Makes me want to cry. I love that.
I know, right? It's freaking awesome.
That's fucking beautiful. I'm so like, that is a testament, like, truly to like what is possible whenever you let things go and you allow influence. And I need to hear that for myself. So I appreciate you saying all of that. But you allow the influence of relationship to see yourself more clearly and also to recognize what needs to be let go of and also to do it. And I love as an extension of that, like you've been able to have a whole new environment that is a foundation that's like setting you up for success to continue to grow and expand and continue letting go of emotional things, beliefs. I mean, the possibilities are endless in that regard to me, at least. But because if you think about it, like just going back to what I said before of like cancer is all about not just creativity and creation, but it's out like the growth of that. And
Yeah.
so anything is possible with that. So that's incredible. Thank you for sharing all of that.
Thank you so much. Thank you for asking such a beautiful question.
You're welcome. So I'm into let's just go into the TCM world. Did you have any questions before we move into that you want to or that you want to make sure gets said before we go into that world?
Not really. I guess I'm wondering, like, are we going to look at TCM stuff related to the big three signs, like rising sun and moon, or
So
something
what
else?
so we're going to be looking at the sun. The plan for each reading is to do the sun, the planet that rules your rising sign. So we're going to look at those organs, those two places. Those are the main two areas, but we did mention a few others. So I'll probably touch into those as well, just because it's a part of this conversation. Yeah. And then I'm going to also talk about the transits in the sky that you have been feeling and that you will continue to be feeling that are going to be impacting some stuff like the things that you're wanting to let go of. Full disclosure, everyone, I asked every single person what their intention was here, like what they wanted to get from this reading. And Jen, are you comfortable sharing what you wanted, what you would like to receive from this reading? Because that's what I'm wanting to say it, but I don't know what to say.
Yeah, I can say it. I think, well, I was interested in just like general insight because that's just who I am. I always want to know more. I always just want to understand myself better and yeah, like how I can learn further from this reading. And then I feel like I'm at a point in my life right now where I'm going through a lot of growth and change. And then I also tend to be someone who like can ruminate on the past a lot in my actions of just like mistakes I made or ways I wish I showed up differently or just being randomly like cringing at myself at times. I think just because like when you navigate the present, sometimes something reminds you of something else and we never fully let go of like past versions of ourselves. And I think as we grow more as people, it's easy to look back and be like, well, I have this knowledge now. I wish I went back and said that to that person. And like, why did I do that to myself? Like, things like that. And so
Yeah,
I like learning more insight on how I could just always have more self compassion when I look back on my past in relation to like who I am now. Because I feel like as we currently grow, we then also have new perspectives on things that have happened before. Basically, all that like heady stuff mixed with just learning more about my chart and Chinese medicine, all that cool
I
stuff.
love that. Thank you. Thank you for helping me with that because I was feeling a
That's it.
little
It's like,
fumbly.
yeah, I think that it was good to have me like say what it
Okay,
was.
good.
So
Okay,
cool.
cool. Thank you. Okay, so we kind of talked about the chart piece to that and the being in the head, like kind of being stuck in the past and ruminating on things that's actually really connected to the organs that we're going to be talking about. But it is also it's also connected to that Virgo energy too, because Virgo is ruled by the mind. It's ruled by Mercury. And Virgo specifically is also all about being able to integrate things and do things well, to do things efficiently, to do things well. It's also connected to the healer energy. And the shadow of it is a perfectionist. So
Mm.
being OCD,
Big perfectionist. Oh boy. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. So, and of course, like perfectionist, inner critic, those are all kind of the shadow of it. But I actually love Virgo energy because it is extraordinarily healing. And so, whenever someone that has Virgo energy, and you too, like this is what your North Node is, this is what you're here to be growing into, learning about. And it's also what, like, inside of you, or at least this is how I experience my North Node. It's like an inner calling. It is that place that I'm being called to live in. And so the beautiful thing that I love whenever anyone that has Virgo energy in them, is they are able to bring the mind into the body
Mm.
and facilitate healing, a healing connection between the two. So they're able to, because it's ruled by Mercury, but it's an earth sign. So it's the head and the body coming together. Once again, ideally to facilitate healing, but it could also be, the shadow side that I've already mentioned.
Well, that
So
resonates because, like, meditation definitely transformed me back in, like, the pandemic and still impacts me deeply, and then yoga too. So, like, practices of
yeah,
connecting my mind and body help pull me out of the perfectionism.
oh,
So, that's interesting.
love that. I love that. Oh, I love that. Well, and the other interesting thing with all of this is that your Mercury is in Leo. And
Mm.
so that's what's ruling that rising sign. So you have, once again, a double whammy of like Mercury, Leo, and then Cancer. So we're going to talk about all three of those organs. And I'm feeling led to share too that this is the quadrant, the section of the chart that's all about sharing. It's all about being a part of the collective. It's all about sharing your gifts and being connected, giving back, receiving. That's what that whole section is all about. Yeah. So I think the only other thing that kind of came up for me with like letting go of the heady stuff is that south node that's sitting in Pisces is, so Pisces energy is like the vibes of we are all one, we are all connected. And so to me, with someone that has a Pisces south node, it's almost like you're unclear as to what is yours and what is not yours.
Mm.
Like, who are
That
you and
resonates.
who especially with the moon being there, like I'm glad that it resonates. And so there is a quality, and I'm so glad that you've been able to be gifted Virgo energy to help you understand, like, this is me and this is you, to be able to help you clarify and integrate, even like, this is me and that's you. That's
Yeah.
beautiful. That's incredible.
Mhm.
Okay. The connecting piece between the TCM world and the astrology is time. So every single person that is born right around sunrise, their sun is going to be sitting right over here. For someone that's born right around midnight, their sun is going to be sitting right around here. Sunset and then high noon up here. Similarly, with the organ chart, the organs never change location. So the time of day always has the same organ associated with it.
Mm.
So we're going to just start with your sun, and then we're going to move into the rising sign, and then we'll kind of talk about all three of those. And if anything else comes up, let me know. I kind of want to talk about the stuff that with all the Pisces energy, but we'll see what comes up. I also want to honor your time as well. Okay. So, like hour. What I've noticed, and this is included for me too, what I've noticed is that if you are right on the end of an hour, which, ladies and gentlemen, she is, I'm not going to give the time specifically, but she is right towards the end. Then you will also kind of have a little bit of both energies. So you were born during the stomach hour, but you also kind of have some spleen energy as well. Both of these are, as you can see, the earth elements. So the stomach is associated with yang, more masculine. More specifically, the actual mechanism of a yang organ is that it goes from empty to full, and there's a movement associate that it's doing something that involves collecting and then releasing, all in service to whatever that yin organ is doing. So the stomach is collecting food, breaking it down, and then it's releasing it down into the small intestine, but it's also helping, and I don't know the exact mechanism here but it is sending other nutrients into the spleen to help further digest and even transform to help with red blood cells, to help with our overall immune system, to help with many different things. But this is the 24-hour organ chart, and it is essentially chi or life force. Electricity, even, is moving through the body at a 2-hour increment. So, moving through each organ at a 2-hour increment and giving that specific organ energy, life force to do its job. And so typically we will notice whenever we honor the time of day with the organ and what it's processing, what its job is, then that's where we end up feeling a sense of homeostasis in the body and ease on all levels. So, as an example, the large intestine, 5 to 7 a.m. What is the large intestine known for? Pooping. And so, whenever we are able to make choices that support going to the restroom during that time, then that actually facilitates the next thing, which is, oh, my body is empty. I'm ready to consume food now.
Mhm.
And then we eat and then we digest. And now we have energy to share everything that we're meant to share, the heart, and to do all the things that we're meant to do, interact with the people that we're meant to interact with, and so on
Mhm.
and so forth. And then once we get down into the bladder and kidney, that's more of like, let me start slowing down, being a little bit more reflective, still connecting, but in a gentler way. And then whenever we do, if we do the opposite of that, then typically it's going to burn us out. We're going to
Mhm.
be really tired and want to go to bed at, you know, 4 o'clock or whatever. So whenever we're able to honor, especially the beginning part of, at least this is what I've noticed for myself, the beginning part of the day, like from sunrise to sunset, that really does help the overall balance and homeostasis of the body on
Yeah,
all levels.
this is cool. This looks like the ideal way to probably help your body and well-being, like this schedule, right? Like I've definitely noticed in myself that like when it comes to productivity, I'm more of like a morning person, right? Where it's like if I get up at like 8 or 9 and eat and have some coffee, I have so much energy until like 12 or 1 to do work. Like that feels like
Mhm.
the most vibrant time of the day where I can get things done and be creative and all that. And then the nap time around the afternoon feels like that makes sense. Like the rest of the day is like winding down. It's interesting because it's like I know that that's how I function really well, and then it's really hard to follow that when it's like during the work week, right? Like
Yes.
work creates these other demands, but I notice like my perfect weekend or my summer break is often following this type of thing. But yeah, this is interesting. This makes me want to like be more disciplined in like what time of day I eat, what time of the day I go on a walk, what time of the day I rest or read or some I don't know. It's just
Mhm.
interesting to look at.
It is. And I also like I worked night shifts for a long
Mm.
time. And it kind of fucked with everything. I'd be getting home at like 11 o'clock, and I'm like, how am I supposed to have a balanced lifestyle whenever I'm supposed to be in bed, but I'm driving? And so, like, whenever I did, my mindset during that time, while it was that, absolutely, the other side of it was like, well, do what you can with what you have. And so I would get, make sure that I got a full night of sleep, but still not oversleep to where I would make sure that I would at least get 8 hours of sleep. So that would mean that I would wake up around 7 or so, 7 or 8. And so that's still early, but it's not, and so I felt good with that and that I was able to still maintain somewhat of a balance, whereas other people that would be working the night shifts, they would be up all night and then, and I did that for a while and it fucked like my body was just not happy. I was
Yeah,
not going.
I think a lot about how like it feels so much better for your body and mind to like follow the sun's schedule when it comes to like
Yes.
sleeping and waking up.
Yeah.
Because I've tried all different things. In the past, I pulled all-nighters during college or like tried going to bed really late just because like I wanted to go out late to a concert or whatever. And yeah, like
Mhm.
noticing the difference of like, even if you try to get 8 hours of sleep from like 3 a.m. to what, like 11 a.m., you're going to wake up feeling like shit. Even if you
Yep.
get 8 hours, if it's
Yep.
not from nighttime to like daytime, it doesn't have the same effect.
It's true.
So I
It's
think
so
that's
true.
interesting.
It is, and for some reason, I keep getting led to share this part, of something that has helped me, and I'm not doing it right now, full disclosure, but I do enjoy it whenever I do get an opportunity to do it. Something that has really helped me is actually starting my morning with sun eye contact.
I've heard this is really good for you, like directly being out in the sun, like within the first 10 minutes of waking up.
Yeah, and it's specifically being like the early morning hours because the sun in the afternoon is very different. And so having direct eye contact with the sun as it's coming up or, once again, early morning hours actually reset your circadian rhythm. It also helps, I believe, with the vitamin D, I think even,
Oh yeah, for
and
sure. Yeah,
extra oxygen for the cells. Like it's like
that's
life
crazy.
giving. It's amazing. Okay.
That's
So any
amazing.
questions about just the chart in general? Now that, yeah.
Well, I know that you mentioned maybe you would touch on how the Pisces part of the chart
Yes.
relates. So I would like to hear about that.
Okay, cool. Pisces energy is hanging out in your seventh house. And the seventh house in general in astrology is associated with one on one relationships. It is romantic partnerships, business partnerships, anything like that. And the beautiful thing, how I see these two connecting, is that to my knowledge, the kidneys are the only set of organs, like two organs, that have a yin and a yang.
Mm.
All the other ones, like, are either individual or, like the lungs, they don't have it to my knowledge. They're just lungs. Like that is the yin organ for the metal element. But for the water element, the kidneys as a whole is a yin organ. But if you look at them individually, it's yin and yang because we get our DNA from our parents. So yang is the right one, I'm assuming. And then
Mm.
yin is the left one, which is mom and dad. And so this is where we get our DNA from. This is where we get our build, who we are, like our constitution. It's also associated with the fated path, like the destiny, the path of destiny, things that naturally unfold without, like, it's just the spirit. Like it's the spirit of our life unfolding in front of us. That's the energy of the kidneys. It is also like the shadow side of the kidneys is living in fear. It is a very
Mhm.
primal because of what it's associated with. It's a very primal level of fear um, that keeps one stuck in one way of being and fear of being able to move forward. That's also the bladder, which is that yang. So once again, the bladder is in service to the kidney.
Mhm.
So whenever the kidney or bladder have UTIs or a lot of inherited fear, if the kidneys are full of fear, the bladder doesn't feel safe to move and serve the kidneys. It feels safer to just hold it. And
That's really interesting. I would share real quick
yeah.
something so interesting that I look back on from like when I was a kid. I was really anxious all the time. I think I was just feeding off like my mom's anxiety and a bit of her emotional regulation habits.
Mhm.
I was a very anxious kid. I used to hold in my pee. Like I would like be clenched up all down there.
Yeah.
Um, I
Mm,
don't know why. It was like this idea of like I would go to the bathroom eventually during the day, but it was just like
mhm.
I didn't have a lot of awareness of needing to go often, needing to stay hydrated.
Yeah.
I was like a very not aware of needing to drink water a lot as a kid. Like I got migraines a lot. And yeah, that's just like interesting in relation
That
to
is
like what you're saying, the spiritual element of these
mhm,
organs is, plus
mhm.
like their functions.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
It's so freaking wild. And it's also like that bladder piece is connected to Scorpio energy. And so, if you are familiar with the vibration, the vibe of Scorpio, it's very much like dark and transformative. But also, if you're stuck in the darkness, it's quite scary and quite, it's also associated with what we inherit too. Because once again, it's that root chakra, it's the very base of, who you are here and
Hmm.
how we're relating together. I thank you for sharing that connection though. That's incredible. It's unfortunate, but it is also an incredible realization to be aware of
Hmm.
because now you can actually move. I mean, assuming that you still have it, you might not even still deal with
Like
that, but like,
now I don't deal with that. It was more so when I was a kid. Like I
okay,
just didn't have as much awareness of like my physical body
yeah.
needs. Now I'm always drinking water. I always go to the bathroom with ease, but it's just like, yeah, it's just interesting
It is.
to notice that.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. So, the research that came out a few years ago, I saw this probably a couple of years ago. I don't remember when, but it was essentially chatting about the correlation between someone's gut health. So, like their probiotics, the stuff, the flora that's in their gut had a direct connection, correlation with how they physically appeared. And whenever I heard that, I was like, my gosh, wow, this is the same thing for a rising sign. Like that is what your rising sign is what how you physically appear. And so the large intestine, the health of your colon is, and I do want to add this other thought of something else that they had mentioned was that it's the communication of the gut actually gets sent up to the brain. It's not the inverse of that. It's not the brain sending messages down to the gut. It's actually the gut is the one ultimately that's in charge and its health and all of these things. And
Right.
once again, that rising sign, that rising the house is what comes so natural to you as an individual. The values of it, the planet that rules it, excuse me, all of that stuff is what comes intrinsic. It's not something that your frontal lobe is having to think about. And so that connection I thought was so, so cool. And so once again, with your North Node hanging out there, the more you can lean into, whether it's letting go or the spiritual component of this is really the letting go piece, but there's like a sacred honor of soaking in all that life has in the present moment. And I say that because, and we talked about this part, didn't we? Where it looked like we had.
Yeah, I think that's like a really big part of my healing has just come from like remembering to be present. Like it
Mm,
helps kind of stop the ruminating or
yeah.
anxiety or fear. And what's cool is that with my visual art, I've touched on those topics a lot as well of like
Mm,
being present and stuff.
yeah. I
So
love that. So good. Well, I will do one final thing and then we're going to call it done unless you have things that also want to come up and be shared. But my final thing that I want to chat about is the nodes of the moon and where they're at right now and how that might be impacting you. So it's going to be just real fast, or at least that's the intention here. So,
there was like a beautiful strawberry full moon this week.
yes, it was in Capricorn and it was sitting right on top of my Mercury. So, right on top of I mean, it was a wild one. Yeah, it was a beautiful moon too, though.
Yeah.
So, the nodes of the moon are once again that north node, south node stuff that we've been talking about. I know that it has to do with geometry and where the moon is, but that's as far as my knowledge about the nodes goes. But right now, for the last year and a half or so, the nodes of the moon. So, the north node has been in Pisces and the south node has been in Virgo. So, it's opposite yours.
Okay.
So, what potentially you might be have been dealing with for like the last year or so is recognizing in a deeper way who it is that you want to be in your relationships and what needs to fall away.
Yeah.
And even what emotional fulfillment feels like and looks like for you right now, and letting go of patterns, behaviors, thoughts, beliefs that might be connected to that. I'm also hearing physical health stuff too is connected to this, but what do you think about that?
I think that all really resonates with me and is accurate. So, in regards to like relationships, I feel like I've done a lot of growth in like how to navigate adult friendships. I have friends in my life who I met like 5 years ago who I'm really close with at this point. And it's like, as an adult, sometimes you have to be more comfortable with the unknown of like, I don't know when I'm going to see this person next because they're busy or like changes in communication, letting myself stick with people who show me proper reciprocity because that's just something I need, or kind of like aligning my values in relationship and friendship in accordance to where I'm at in my life. I've really grown a lot in that way of like it's a mix of balancing my own expectations that I have of people plus being able to adapt or even let go of whatever is not working for me. And then in my relationship, I'm always trying to like better grow and understand how I can be a better partner and stuff like that. And then with physical health, I feel like in the past year, I mean, a year ago it was summer. I usually get my like physical done in the summer. And like a year ago, I found out I had like iron deficiency.
Mm,
And my doctor prescribed me iron supplement and recommended a great like nutrient shake to add to my diet just to help me get more sustenance.
yeah.
I honestly like fell off of using both of those throughout this year. Like I had it for a bit and then was inconsistent about it. But now that it's summer again, I remembered I wanted to be on track with that again. So I
Mm.
started taking my iron again. I started doing the shake. And I've also been working on strength training a little just because I really want to like build muscle. Because I've heard that, like, for women, if you're thinner as you get into your 30s, if you don't have a lot of muscle mass, you can actually get like health issues like
Wow.
diabetes or random things like that. So I do have some upper
Yeah.
arm growth happening. And I'm just like, it's been more on my radar of like, as I'm closer to 30, I want to have extra good hip flexor strength, joint strength, knee strength, like overall just muscle being built up more in my body while also making sure I'm on top of like all my nutrients and everything.
It's that. Thank you
So
for
yeah.
sharing that. And that's actually very connected to spleen, all that stuff. So, iron, muscles, fascia, lymph nodes. You didn't mention those two, but moving your muscles is actually what helps your spleen and also your lymph nodes, which of course helps your blood, helps your immune system. And so that spleen energy, which is, we didn't get to talk about it a whole lot, but I actually think that that is a part of something. There's something there. Like having that iron, and even like for some reason the word that I kept hearing was nourishment, like just the
Yeah.
yum, like just someone likes to call like someone that I love dearly. He talks about how earth elements, whatever that earth element is, feels like you're hugging a teddy bear. Like it's that type of nourishment is like just soft and yum, like just so good. And so like really being able to that spleen is getting tapping into that energy, whether it's through iron or, through self-care, self-love in that for yourself and your body. But anyways, okay. Think that's it. Unless there was something that you wanted to share. Any final thoughts, any final questions or words?
No, I mean, well, yeah, I'll share like final thoughts and words. I don't have any questions, but I really appreciated this and this was really cool. Thanks for taking the time to dive into my chart and explain the Chinese medicine stuff. And I think what you're doing is really unique and cool. And I hope that more and more people get a chance to do this with you because it's
Thank
awesome.
you. Thank you. Thank you for those words and thank you for your time and your curiosity and open mind. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you.
And
And
so,
thanks for holding space for me. And as I shared like my emotional and physical things with you. And yeah,
mm,
it's just really nice.
you're welcome. It was an honor and a privilege, honestly. Thank you for feeling comfortable enough to do that.
Of course. All right. So I guess that's it.
That's it.